Today on Let's Talk Schools, we're going to get an update on our innovative Bridge to Success program and how the district has moved one step closer to its goal of transformational change. Hello and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Schools. I'm Mike Looney, the host of the show and the superintendent of Fulton County Schools. Today we're going to be talking about the Bridge Plan, which has been a way for us to organize our work over the last couple of years as we've navigated COVID and post-COVID era. And so we have two experts with us. I'll start with Brandon Gaskins, who is our Chief Academic Officer. Glad to have you on the show. And his very, very capable expert director of federal programs, Montrell Bell. Thank you both for being here today. Because Brandon, you haven't been on the show before, and this is really kind of a homecoming for you because you left our district and you came back. And so tell a little bit about what you've been doing, where you've been, and what your experience has been since you've been back.
Well, first, I'm happy to be back. So I just want to start off by saying that I started here in Fulton County in 2003 as a classroom teacher. So loved teaching for the time that I did. I was an assistant principal here as well as a principal, had some time at the central office. I left to go be a chief academic officer in a neighboring district, and now I'm back here as the chief academic officer, and it's been a great experience.
Well, we're glad that we recruited you home.
Yes.
People, when you were announced, people were very, very ecstatic about your return. So you left fertile soil for you to continue to till and to help us continue to grow. So we obviously have created a Bridge Plan. It's the tool, the strategy that we've been using to basically manage the COVID relief funds that we got from the federal government and to do something transformational with that money. We didn't want to just do business as usual. And you have been so amazingly transparent and forthright and keeping us on track. I don't know how you do it because the federal government bureaucracy is just the whole thing on its own. But you have held us accountable, made sure we spend the money correctly. Tell us a little bit about the work that you've been engaging in and kind of a big picture of the Bridge to Success Plan, Montrell.
Wow, we began this work about 3 years ago now. And it's so amazing to see the journey that we've been on and how much we have accomplished. I remember coming here a couple years ago talking about our plan and what we wanted to implement. And now we are in full steam ahead. And I think I would actually like to credit you, Dr. Looney, and your leadership team and the board for having a vision for using money, federal dollars, that would help us to transform where we were post-COVID, during COVID, and really make our students and families, put them in a better position to be able to deal with education, wraparound services, and just all of those things that they need to be successful. And so a lot of that credit goes to the leadership, and I've just been so thankful to do this work for the past 3 years.
Well, honestly, it takes a team, and you have been one of the most important team members that we have to manage this work. So kudos to you. Brandon, I know that when the board goes to meetings, I was recently at a Georgia School Board Association conference with the board, and people from all across the state and region are approaching our school board members saying, we've been following what you've been doing with your Bridge Plan and how you've spent your COVID money. Since you have kind of a fresh lens coming back to Fulton, what are the things that stick out to you from our Bridge Plan that I guess surprised you or it was unexpected?
So I would say the first is that the courage of the board to invest $90 million into literacy. So not a lot of boards were doing that across the country. As we were listening to Teacher Voice, there were other priorities that were taking precedent over literacy, but the board and yourself focusing on literacy was a really courageous effort. And the investment in professional learning that we provided not only teachers, but professional paraprofessionals around literacy has been really impressive.
Yeah, I think we were doing science of reading before science of reading was cool.
I think
it
so.
It seems like everybody across the country now, I keep reading articles, so-and-so is going to do science of reading. Okay, so Montrell, give us some highlights from your perspective as kind of managing all the funds and making sure, once again, that we spent the money as it was intended to spend in compliance with federal and state law. What are the highlights from your perspective on the Bridge to Success plan?
One thing I would say, Dr. Looney, and I guess to everyone, is I've been in the district now for a long time. And this federal funding gave us the opportunity to be innovative. I've been in a lot of conversations in academics and even as a teacher. And a lot of times we spent time talking about, if we had the money, what would we do? And just being able to focus on the literacy, being able to focus on other programs that provide innovative support for students with our virtual learning, our CTAE program expansions, being able to fund our dropout prevention efforts and mobile learning, and even some of our business continuity efforts that we have, investing in staff wellness, supporting schools that have wellness activities. Our schools and other locations that have wellness ambassadors have been doing so much to try to keep our staff uplifted throughout these past 3 years. And just being able to do some of those things, I think that has really just been rewarding. And then I would say also, most importantly, hearing from the schools, hearing from principals, knowing that the investments we've made in our coaches, our staff, our leadership development, it just feels really good to know that the impact we've had using the plan, our Fulton County Bridge Plan, has really impacted people. They may not know it was the Bridge Plan, but it makes me feel good to know that the things that we have done have really impacted people in a positive way. And so from my perspective, I just really kind of get to see all the good work. And I feel like I'm just holding all that information in, but being able to report that to the board and to being able to put it on our website and do our communication updates has given me the opportunity to provide just a glimpse to people. And so I'm just really proud. I'm proud of the work that we've done.
I know, I'm so glad that you mentioned the communication part, because one of the requirements actually is that we provide regular updates to the school board, to the community, and how we're spending the money, whether we're spending the money in accordance with the law, are we spending the money as planned. You're allowed to make some adjustments, but as government is, and make an adjustment or make a change, it takes a long runway. So if people want to know more about the Bridge Plan, perhaps they haven't seen a communication or they don't know where to go, direct us to, if you want to know more about the Bridge Plan, where you can get that information.
Yes, so we have a website. It's on our Fulton County website, the public website. It's www.fultonschools.org/bridge to success. And on that website, which is easy to get there, if you go to departments, you can click on Bridge to Success as well. You'll see where we've been in this journey. You'll see our priorities, there were 7 priorities, and also some of the activities that have been funded over the past 3 years. We also have social media posts. So if people follow the Fulton County Schools website on Twitter, on Facebook, Twitter X, Facebook, they'll see some of the things that we've done. And one thing that you just mentioned that I thought was really important is that we give the public the opportunity to provide us with feedback to our plan. And so just recently in October, we asked the public to give us feedback, and we put that on our homepage. And so we've tried to be very transparent with how we've spent our dollars. We do now every other month we do a board update, and we also provide financial updates through Mr. DeReef, our Chief Financial Officer. So I think we've done a great job with communicating what we're doing. And of course, if anyone is ever interested in providing more or getting more information, they can always email us at ARP_ESSER, that's ESSER, @fultonschools.org, and I'd be happy to respond.
Well, once again, I think you've done a marvelous job communicating. I know the board gives accolades every month when they get their update from you. Brandon, let me ask you this. You're the Chief Academic Officer.
Yes.
So if it relates to academics, that's your
shop.
playground, that's your shop. So, as I talk to colleagues across the nation about how they've used their COVID relief money or ESSER money, and I in no way want to say that anybody didn't do a good job. We just took a little bit of a different approach. We really honestly focused on academics. How do we change student outcomes with the money that we're given? Are we seeing any indication? I've read lots of research that says it takes 5 to 10 years to realize gains in student achievement. It just takes time.
Yes.
What are you seeing as the chief academic officer? Are we seeing any hopeful indicators that we're on the right path?
We are definitely seeing a lot of indicators that we're on the right path. We have increased our achievement post-pandemic, so we have higher CCRPI scores than we did in 2019, which is incredible. A lot of districts around the nation and our state took a dip, but we have a steady increase in the right direction. We are seeing, we've used some of our money for virtual learning, and we're seeing that those courses are as rigorous as in-person learning, and those students are doing as well in the virtual learning space as they would in the in-person space, along with advanced placement. So we have advanced placement in our virtual space, and those kids are scoring 3, 4s, and 5s. So we've seen a lot of increased outcomes for students since the pandemic based on our investment in our funds.
It's amazing to think that, when all the pundits were out there, and I don't want to make a lot of COVID because it was a horrible experience.
Yes.
But all the pundits out there were saying, we're going to lose a generation of kids. Our students are never going to recover from this. We were essentially, for all practical purposes, shut down for almost 2 years. When I say shut down, with face-to-face instruction. And the reality of it is, which is what you just said, our students are now performing at rates higher on average
Yes.
than they were pre-pandemic. And that's a direct result of very intentional, focused programming, accountability, and expenditures, which y'all have been a very important part of. And we just recently celebrated the highest graduation rate in Fulton County Schools history.
Yes. In our history, 90.5.
That is absolutely.
With room to grow. We still have room to grow.
Still have room to grow. Montrell, let me ask you this. So we've done a lot of things. You said there were 7 priorities. How did things make the list of the priority? I'm sure there were lots of ideas out there. How did something make the cut? And then, what's in your mind? What's the one thing that might surprise people that they don't know? Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't the highlight of communication, or it was something that we were managed to do that maybe it was just kind of below the radar.
Yeah. First of all, I think the things that made the cut were the priorities that the district saw at the time during COVID. So our transformation for literacy, we used our data that showed us the need to focus on literacy, to focus on training for our teachers so that our students can get high quality literacy instruction. That was one. The second one was making sure we keep performing in the Metro Atlanta area, making sure that we have the results, that we implement programs that allow our students to have innovative opportunities for instruction, which would have been our expanded programs. We have another program, which I was so glad you just mentioned about our results, our focus programs, in which we have provided intense tutoring for students during the school day. We've done summer learning programs for our students in the summer. We've done additional extended learning programs. And what this funding allowed us to do was have the ability to meet everyone at their needs, their specific learning needs. And so that was another focus. Student safety was another issue. And of course, business continuity, making sure that we can function and survive and meet the demands of our district at a moment's notice while we were still there. And so I think that our 7 priorities that we have were very, very, very focused on our needs and making sure that we were able to also transform our district to be functional with or without COVID. And so I think the one thing that I will give this district credit for is using research-based practices. And I think that some of the results that we are seeing is a result of us tying our strategies and activities back to best practices.
Right.
The one thing too that I didn't mention is our big investment in textbooks. We aligned, we were going through a textbook process a couple years ago, and I think Dr. Lindy, you said, hey, let's tie this back to the science of reading. Let's make sure that all of our resources are aligned. And so again, that goes back to using best practices, using research-based innovations. And I think that whenever we report our budget to the federal government and to the state, it was so easy for us to tie all of that back. And so I'm just really encouraged that we did choose programs that have made such a difference in our students. And I think one thing, though, that is probably worth celebrating, which we don't get a lot of noise, is our leadership development. We have had 3 cohorts of aspiring leaders to go through a leadership certification program with Georgia State. And Georgia State has been a great partner to allow us to use our Fulton County staff to work with our aspiring leaders and also help them to gain that leadership certification. So we will reap the benefits of this program even beyond 2024.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both for joining. There's so much to talk about. The next time you come on, I'm going to have you talk about what do we do when the money dries up. You know, what stays, what goes, but that's another conversation for another day. Thank you so much, folks, for joining another session of Let's Talk Schools. Look forward to continuing our conversation about all the wonderful things happening here in Fulton County. And now, let's go around the district in 90 seconds. That's it for our show this week. Let's keep this conversation going. We'd love to hear from you on our social media platforms. Join us next time on Let's Talk Schools, and thank you for watching.